In this video, we will talk about the trades worth more than $5 billion, the risks that short sellers face, the reasons why apes will prevail, and a wealth of other topics. First, let's have a look at this. The day before yesterday, we had a comprehensive conversation on the total number of AMC shares present. Those individuals who are unsure of what to do can find an explanation through the use of total return swaps. For the purpose of clarification, this is effectively a short position. The market maker enters into a TRS in order to collect the full return on those 10,000 shares after selling 10,000 shares of company stock short. Because of this, the risk associated with the position is reduced. This entire strategy is predicated on the idea that it enables the market maker to continue operating while simultaneously controlling the risk that they are exposed to. Evidently, this is due to the fact that the TRS provides a balance between the short position and the fictional long exposure. According to what was stated earlier, the numbers were shocking. 282 copies of AMC and 555 million copies of AMC. TRs, we now have a better understanding of the number of shares of AMC that are available, which is the reason why the issue is definitely more significant than we previously expected it to be. We have always been in possession of information and have had a clear understanding of what was taking on. Nevertheless, as we continue to dive deeper, it is becoming increasingly apparent that the entire issue is coming to light. This is the subject that we are looking into. In fact, we have already talked about it the previous year. However, I thought it would be beneficial to bring it up once more because I believe that it is something that is extremely important when looking into credit swaps. In this section, the total return swaps are displayed. In order to give you an idea of what is available for AMC, the first deck of 5 billion plus credit swaps came to an end on April 22, 2026. Although we still have a long way to go before these swaps expire, we can offer you an idea of what is accessible. As was mentioned before, this is the objective behind our ongoing practice of conducting due diligence. Not only is it essential, but it is also the means by which we found instances of corruption and manipulation. To reiterate, you are free to investigate this on your own. Nevertheless, for the time being, this is the basic minimum that we are contemplating for the complete return swaps that include everything. There is no doubt that there are a great number of other ones, but the fact that we now have this many serves as evidence. This makes it abundantly evident why the price of AMC is consistently being cut. Recently, we had a conversation about how there were no shares available for borrowing. Then all of a sudden, there were 7 million shares available. It can be deduced from this that, after selling 3.7 million shares, we went from owning 3.2 million shares to having none available. Considering that shares have previously exploded out of thin air, and we are aware of the reasons behind it, we are able to imagine that this will happen again. When you take into consideration all that we have spoken about on this channel, including the TRS and tokens, you will find that there are various possibilities for short sellers to locate and purchase shares of AMC. They do not need any actual support as long as they have a token, the swap, or a physical replica of the cryptographic asset themselves. They have the potential to generate a share out of thin air. And the fact that 3.7 was witnessed makes it clear that they have reverted back to the techniques that they have been doing in the past. However, another factor that has to be taken into consideration is the fact that they are obviously manufacturing false shares. Furthermore, you should be aware that maintaining the AMC at 350 will not compel individual investors to sell their shares. Rather, it will make it possible for us to load the boat with additional phony shares, which you would then be required to repurchase at a price that is somewhat higher. Investors will make a profit, while you will suffer a loss. Consequently, it is evident that this is a discussion on the behaviors and responses of apes when they sense a decrease in the price of something. By utilizing any of these synthetics, it is possible to exercise control over and bring down the cost of AMC. They can make an effort to keep it low and to keep it dropping, but in reality, they are providing the apes with an incentive to buy rather than to sell. Everyone is aware of what is taking place, and as a result, they have come to the conclusion that a decrease in price is not the result of individuals selling their shares and incurring financial losses as a result of using FI and AMZ, it is more likely that this is due to the fact that short sellers are becoming increasingly apprehensive, which means that they need to continue lowering the price. In order to accomplish this, they are increasing the production of synthetics. Nevertheless, it is very evident that these synthetics are not as good as the apes, and they will eventually have to be repurchased at a greater price. Due to the fact that your shares of AMC and GME are subject to an infinite time restriction, the apes will emerge victorious, while the institutions will, as a consequence, suffer losses. The derivatives that market makers provide are difficult to hedge due to their high costs and the absence of any expiration dates. As a result of the fact that they are aware of this, it is imperative that we comprehend the following. As I have mentioned on multiple occasions, keeping on to AMC and GME shares does not cost us anything. However, holding on to a short position costs short sellers everything. As was previously mentioned, in order for them to finance their existing holdings, construct further synthetics, and put up greater collateral, they are required to spend more money, which locks them into other positions with the same consequences. There is only one disadvantage, and that is the fact that keeping AMC and GME shares would be quite expensive. Since the beginning, it has been our duty to act as the investors who are selling short. The reason for this is because short sellers do not have an endless amount of time, whereas we do have an infinite amount of time. The initial margin estimate that Robinhood provided on January 28, 2021, makes it abundantly clear that AMC and GameStop, of course, expose them to a huge margin risk. It is abundantly clear that the value at risk for AMC was significantly higher than the value for GameStop, and the current circumstance makes it abundantly clear that both AMC and GME are short sellers. Some people are now asserting that AMC is not too responsible for the issues that GME is experiencing. Rather, it is just GME and Squeeze that are to blame. On the other hand, you have to acknowledge that both companies are in the same scenario and have ascribed different risks to short sellers. Although AMC had a high margin requirement, Robinhood decided to go ahead and make the purchase. This can be considered one of the key reasons behind that. Having said that, it is also really important to be aware of the overall amount of RTRN shares that AMC own. We have already established that AMC and GME will be the ones to squeeze, as we have already mentioned. To tell you the truth, there won't be any debate over which one is better. We do not really know what will occur in the end, but there are reasons to believe that AMC will grow higher, and there will always be reasons to believe that GME will climb higher. Both of these things are possible possibilities. It is the most important argument that I want to make, right? That is that it should always be a subject of disagreement between hedge funds and retail investors, rather than something that divides us. It is not AMC versus GameStop. Rather, it is retail versus hedge funds. It is unnecessary for me to comment on this point because I have previously indicated that neither stock is preferable to the other, due to the fact that I explained the manner in which they run their businesses. I claim that both parties will end up experiencing defeat regardless of which occurs first. Nevertheless, I am of the opinion that AMC will be the last straw for short sellers, and that GME will enable the MOAs to enter the market because it is in a better position to squeeze them. When that fails, all of the effort that was done to refer to it is undone. All of these options, however, come with their own set of benefits and drawbacks. For example, GME possesses billions of dollars that are capable of producing interest, which has placed them in a position to generate profits despite the fact that they do not yet have a formal system in place for conducting business. On the other hand, despite the fact that it does not possess billions of cash, AMC possesses a useful corporate structure that is visibly expanding. According to what we have indicated, GME will be the corporation that possesses superior fundamentals for its balance sheet. As was said earlier, the enormous risk that AMC possesses suggests that at least 75% of Robinhood's margin, which is equivalent to 555 million FTDs, is available. This is evidence that both are extremely important, and it also indicates why AMC will be the ultimate straw for short sellers. Everyone who is watching is very much appreciated. I'll be right back to see you.